Welcome to another edition of the Coach Godwin Show. I'm your host, Coach Karan Godwin, all-time leading scorer of the University of North Florida and also author of that great new book, Everyone Hates a Ball Hog, but They All Love a Scorer, available, of course, at jumpstarthoops.com. Today on the show, we have a special guest, and this individual has played at the University of Maryland. He's originally from New York. He has a lot of great insight on the global and international game and perspective. He's Coach J.D. Walsh. Coach, how you doing?
Hey, Glenn, how you doing? Great to be here.
I'm doing great. Tell the audience members a little bit about yourself and your international presence.
Well, I started out here, grew up in Long Island, and I played my high school basketball at St. Thomas More in Connecticut. A bunch of great players for Coach Jerry Quinn, and got a scholarship to the University of Maryland. Also played with some great players, most notably the Walt Williams and Joe Smith of the world. And moved on, started my own basketball school a little over 10 years ago in Long Island, and since then I've run it about 10 countries, like 3 continents, all over the world.
So let's talk about your website and how you actually started your basketball school. What is it that you emphasize?
Well, the main thing for me was that I always learned a lot more about life being on a court than in a classroom, and I figured there was a lot of kids like me. But to get to understand that, good to know my background. I started working on Wall Street, and I played in Ireland for a short time, and came back and was looking for a job. Hated working on Wall Street, so I started working with Vincent Smith over at the Aim High AAU in Queens. Kenny Smith's brother had an AAU team. He himself is a great fundamentals coach and organizer, community developer. So he taught me a little bit about how to get back into the game as a coach, because I'd always been a player. Although my dad was a high school coach for 25 years in Babylon, Long Island, a very successful coach. He actually had coached 2 McDonald's All-Americans, and it was fairly well known. But anyway, that first experience, a couple of the kids were very good. One, Smush Parker, and made the NBA, and Talik Brown, Shane Gaddison were also some great players, and I got to be around them and watch their early development stages when they were 14, 15, 16. When I applied for my first job, Roslyn High School in Long Island, I got it. I was the head varsity coach. I was very young. I was maybe 23 or 24, I believe 24. We had a great year. I got hired at St. John the Baptist. But to supplement my income, I had to start doing another job. So what I did was I started a program teaching basketball fundamentals to kids. I started in a small gym with about 10 kindergartners in Fort Washington, Long Island. And from that, I grew into the game. I grew the program into including life skills component, and realized as time went on that I was more interested in teaching kids about life. Well, not more, but as interested in teaching kids about life as I was about basketball. So I grew the business to about 8 sites in New York City out to the Hamptons, and I had a center base in St. John the Baptist, culminating in the Summer Academy, which did fairly well. So those are the humble beginnings.
Oh, definitely. And I like what you said about life skills, and that's what my book, Everyone Hates a Ball Hog, but They All Love a Scorer, is about, teaching kids life lessons on and off the court. Let's talk about the international game, and of course you've been over there and also over here. What's the difference between basketball in America and basketball internationally?
Well, the first thing is they're different. It's not U.S. versus international. Every region is specific, so it's important to actually understand the sensibilities of each country you go to. It's different when I go to Israel or Italy or China or India or Taiwan or anywhere. The culture is different, the structure is different, the bureaucracy is different, and of course the game is a little bit different. When you're dealing with the basketball part, clearly, and I was very fortunate to do some work on Maccabi Tel Aviv, which I still go back and forth from time to time to do some things with, to watch the European game from the EuroLeague, which is a super high level of basketball, great level of basketball, where you see a lot of similar things that USA Basketball talks about in the Olympics, that they're trying to improve in shooting, driving and dishing, and these kind of things. In Asia, it's a real powerful game where guards are constantly pushing, almost like the old Russian way, where they're pushing the defender down, and the defender's allowed to hand check.
Okay.
It's a very, very physical game. So it really depends on where you are as the type of game that's played. From a From a basketball sense, as the game's evolving, the knowledge of the game is evolving, especially with the internet and folks allowed to watch more games and these kind of things. You see not only the NBA influence, but hopefully the NCAA difference, and that should trickle down to some better basketball.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about, especially the emergence of China, in countries like Lithuania, and basketball is just becoming that number one sport. Why do you think that basketball is impacting the world now?
Well, from a sports-specific standpoint, basketball is a little over 100 years old now, so it's catching on. It's still behind soccer, and way behind soccer for a lot of reasons, a lot of corporatocracy reasons and financial reasons, but basketball is the fastest growing sport in the world. I think people love it because it's a simple game. You just need a ball and a goal. There's not too much to explain, to just go out there and have fun with the game. So that helps to promote the game, especially the NBA. They always talk about 2002, the Dream Team. And the Dream Team really opened a lot of doors because it brought interest to a lot of the world because of the spectacular play and Michael Jordan, etc., Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. It opened a lot of the eyes of the world to basketball. Even though it was already hot here in America, it really opened up in other parts of the world. I mean, you talk about Lithuania. I've seen some of the top Lithuanian teams play, and you see 6'9", 6'10", 6'11" guards. And they handle the ball great. They shoot the ball great. Sharunas Jasikavic played at Maryland. I think he came a year or two after me, and I know him very well. He had a great career in Europe, but he's one of the best players in Europe. And he really improved coming here to the U.S. and then going back to Europe. So you really start to see how the game has, from America, has influenced the rest of the world. The rest of the world put their influence on it, even at some point came here to learn it, and now we're going back and making the game better in other parts.
Yeah, now a lot of pundits would say that we actually taught the world the game, especially when you talk about international, and they've taken a lot of those fundamentals that we initially taught them, and now they're actually beating us at our own game. What do you think about the fundamentals of the overseas players and some of the guys that you've worked with compared to where we are now?
I was a guy that used to get on a train, and I grew up in Long Island, about 45 minutes outside of the city, and I would just get off at a subway stop and play in Brooklyn Park all day. So to me, basketball is a dance. You talk about urban America, you see a lot of the game and how it moves. I had a friend, rest in peace, Rodney Parker, who was a quote-unquote talent scout, and actually a ticket scout for New York City for 60 years. And I think he was one of the best basketball minds I've ever seen. And he used to talk about basketball as a dance and come from these kinds of roots. Now, Europe doesn't have that, so they put their own influence on it. And there's probably a psychosocial effect that's been discussed and talked about, how these countries have a different mentality on how the game goes. But the truth of the matter is, as you saw in the last Olympics, when we send our best and everybody sends their best, we win. So we like to keep it that way.
Coach J.D. Walsh, it was a pleasure having you on the show. I know I look forward to speaking to you in the future and staying updated as into what's going on the international scene, especially in India.
Absolutely great to be on the show. Thank you for having me, and looking forward to hoopdoctors.com, and also anyone looking to get a hold of me on the Facebook. It's JD Walsh or JDBasketball.India, or on Twitter it's @JDBasketball.
All right, there you have it, folks. That's Coach J.D. Walsh, definitely a pioneer of the game of basketball in India. Look forward to great things and hear from him. Don't forget to log on to the site, jumpstarthoops.com, and also pick up that book, Everyone Hates a Ball Hog, but They All Love a Score. Check out Coach J.D.'s website, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Till next time, work hard, study harder.